named Bright Morning, also commonly known as After the Storm. So, in this video, I am going to explain you the poem Bright Morning. Before starting the poet of this poem is the great nature poet William Wordsworth. It is an extract from a much longer poem named Resolution and Independence. In this poem, the poet describes different moods of nature and the joy felt by birds and animals after a stormy night. Okay, let me just inform you that everything which is written in this poem is based on what the poet saw while taking a morning walk. Let's begin the poem. The first two lines of the poem are, "There was a roaring in the wind all night. The rain came heavily and fell in floods." In the whole poem, only these two lines talk about the previous night's storm. The first line describes that there were very strong winds during the previous night. Like all the time, whenever there is a storm, there are violent winds. Here, there is a metaphor because a wind is a non-living thing and it cannot roar. So this shows that the wind is having a roaring of a beast and therefore it can be considered a metaphor. This also shows how violently the winds are blowing. In the second line, visual imagery is being used to show that it was raining cats and dogs by using the word "fell in floods." And the poet is also exaggerating what is happening here by showing that a flood is falling from the sky, which is impossible. The next two lines, "But now the sun is rising calm and bright. The birds are singing in the distant woods." So the third line, if you notice, the first two words are but and now. But now. The first two lines of the poem talk about the violent storm and the rest of the poem talks about all the animals, birds which are happy after the storm ended. So but now is contrasting. It is ending the first two lines and is the beginning of a whole new topic. The sun is being personified here because sun is not calm and bright. It is showing that a new day is being born here. The next line is that the word distant woods. The word distant woods tells us far away forest. Here, as always, whenever there is a wonderful and bright morning, birds chirp. So therefore, the poet could hear the sweet chirping of birds. Over his own sweet voice, the stork dove broods. The jay makes answer as the magpie chatters. The fifth line. It was a very beautiful morning and the stork dove was enjoying it. So he was singing a nice song while incubating its eggs. So the stork dove here is a bird. The second line, line 6. So before starting the line 6, there are two birds over here, the jay and the magpie. Remember that. So the jay is responding to a chatter made by a magpie. So here the jay is giving an answer. It is reacting to an action by the magpie. So the way the sentence is formed over here makes us feel that the birds are having a conversation among themselves. And jay makes answer and the magpie chatters are examples of personification. Now let's move on to line 7. And all the air is filled with pleasant noise of waters. As I told you in the beginning, it was a very violent storm with rain, cats and dogs. And due to this, all the water bodies were full at their full capacity with water. But if you noticed at the last word of this line, waters, But haven't you learned in grammar class that water is an uncountable noun? Yes, that is true. But here, waters are referring to water bodies. The water bodies which are around the forest. So here the water bodies mainly refer to waterfalls, lakes, rivers. Now, as the water bodies are at their full capacity, they are also flowing at their full capacity. And due to this, it's making a very pleasant sound. This ends our first paragraph. Let's move on to the second one. The first two lines of the second paragraph are: all the things that love the sun are out of doors. The sky rejoices the morning's birth. So, line 8. I already told you that the previous night it was raining cats and dogs, and the animals who couldn't find shelter were drenched, they were wet and soggy. But now the sun has risen and the animals want to get dried. So they come outdoors and they receive the sunlight, get warmth so that they dry. Line 9. The sky rejoices the morning's birth. The previous night the sky was all dark and black in color. It was in a sad and a gloomy mood. Now the sun has risen. A new day is being born. The sky is now happy. It's changing its color, and the color seems to be like the one which welcomes birds. This sentence is a perfect example of personification. Let's begin line 10 and 11. The grass is bright with raindrops on the moors. The hare is running races in her mirth. Line 10. It tells us that the grass is covered with tiny droplets of dew and water droplets. The word moors being used here refers to a plain grassland. Now the tips of the blades of grass are covered with tiny drops of water. These droplets are reflecting the light of the sun, and due to this, the whole grassland, which is covered with tiny water droplets, is reflecting the sunlight and is looking shiny. The next line is, it means mirth and merriment. So the word mirth here means joy or merriment. The hare is being personified here by using the word hare, because we usually use the word hare for a human. Here it is being used for an animal, which makes it personified. And with her feet, she from the plashy earth raises a mist that glittering in the sun runs with her all the way wherever she doth run. These are the next three lines. So the line 12. Here the word plashy means full of pools and puddles of water. The land or the forest or the grassland over here is covered with pools and puddles of water due to the rain the previous night. Now the line 13 tells us that as the hare runs on the moor, her feet are continuously splashing on these puddles, and therefore droplets of water are rising from these puddles and they are shining in the bright sun. These droplets are called mist here. Line 14. The hare is racing with the mist. Now there is no way a hare can race with mist. But it seems that the mist is following the hare and is having a competition with it. So it is seeming that the mist is challenging the hare to a race. Therefore, the poet is telling that the mist is running with the hare all the way. And doth, the word used here, is the old word of English used for does. This ends our poem. Now, let me tell you something very important from an exam perspective. It is called a rhyme scheme. Rhyme schemes are the way that the words in a poem rhyme together. So in this poem, the rhyme scheme is ABA, BBCC, CDC, DDEE. So when two letters are similar, like A and A, the two words words rhyme. B and B, the two words rhyme. So this is how a rhyme scheme goes. Okay, this ends our video. But let me just inform you, I have put a lot of effort in making this video. So please like, share and subscribe. And to know more about Mr. William Wordsworth, you can visit my blog. Its link is given in the description box below. Thank you, bye and stay tuned.